In the works with Brandon and USA.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep no more. And by a sleep, we say, to end the heartache and thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep, perchance, to dream. Aye, there's a rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's a respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolent of office, and the spurns of that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death? The undiscovered country, from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have, than fly to others we know not of. Thus conscience doth make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sickled over with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment with disregard their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. It's William Shakespeare, Hamlet.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you just soliloquy?
I did. Put out
Nice.
the whole soliloquy.
All right, another special day today and in the works. We have
Special day.
special day. Every day is a special day.
It is a special day.
I don't podcast every day, so it's a special day every time. But but this time we have
Hi, my name is Drew Wright.
Drew Wright.
Drew Wright.
Gotcha. All right. He's a friend of mine. I guess a friend of Usa's as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Fairly new friend.
Fairly
I'd
new
consider us friends.
Yeah.
Fairly new.
Okay. Anyway,
Our
so
blooming friendship.
blooming, yes,
Yeah.
budding, blooming,
But no. I don't
budding
think
friendship.
budding.
It's kind of starting.
Blooming
Would be like it's in,
No, yeah, you're right. Budding. It's
Yeah.
budding.
like blooming onions. Anyway, so just kind of give us a rundown. Who are you? In summation, like,
Oh.
you got your name.
Yeah, like I said, my name is Drew Wright. I'm a 21-year-old white male.
Straight.
Straight
You
white
hit
male.
that. You're hitting that Trinity, straight white male, the Holy Trinity.
The Holy Trinity.
Oh, Lord. Gotcha. Okay.
I'm a student here at MCC. I'm studying to become a psychologist, but I want to get my bachelor in psychology and pivot that into law. Yeah. Anything else?
Oh, not really. I mean, somebody was telling me that you're trying to be a lawyer. Was that true?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Anything specific in law?
Not specifically. I kind of do like the constitutional side. I like fighting for the more broad ideas. For freedom of speech, for just your general rights, the things that the government wants to intrude on more than anything.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate that. Hopefully you'll go far in So kind of a little background, like who were you growing up? Just give us some context on your childhood. You can be as deep and thorough or as shallow as you want to be with that. So just kind of.
So yeah, I was born in 2001, about 2 weeks before 9/11.
Nice.
Nice. What a tragedy.
Yeah.
I grew up the third of four boys. My dad is an auditor and he's an accountant by trade. My mom is a nurse. Grew up in that home. We used to move around a lot because my dad had a bunch of different jobs. So I've been to Detroit, to Wisconsin. We went and lived in Florida for a year. And we eventually settled down here in Missouri. We were from Missouri initially, and we basically ended up back here.
So how old were you when you kind of settled in Missouri then?
We settled like the first time when I was like 6, and then we moved back out. And then ever since I was about 10 or 11, I can't remember. We'll say 11. We came back here and we've set our roots here.
Gotcha.
So.
I had no idea you moved around that much.
Oh no, when I was little, we moved around a lot. A lot of it I don't remember though, because it's just when I was really little.
Was it like every year, a couple times a year?
It'd be like every year to 6 months. 6
Oh.
months to a year.
God.
When do you remember just moving around? Like your earliest memory?
My earliest memory is when we were here. Like, we used to live in Lawson, which is the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And yeah, I just remember we had a go-kart and
Okay, so you don't really remember all the other places?
I don't remember a lot of the other places.
Okay.
They're more told to me.
Gotcha. Because I'm just asking because right now my girlfriend, her nephew is 5 years old. Dad is in the military and they move around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to see, your thoughts on that. See if you had any struggles with making friends and all
how does that
stuff.
affect you?
I'm not sure how it affected me because, like I
Okay.
said, most of that
You don't
stuff
remember
is
it.
just like before I remember it.
What about like your brothers? Because I know you said you were the third. So like the two older ones, they must have had better recollection of what was going on. And
Yeah, I've never actually asked them about that. I'm not sure what their perspective is on that. So I couldn't really tell you.
so what was it like then? Okay, you set your roots down. What do you actually remember?
Yeah, well, we lived in Lawson for a little bit, moved to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Florida was a very interesting time, but the family life was pretty hectic.
Oh,
Being middle child, I always kind of flew under the radar.
this was before your younger brother.
Oh, no, this is during.
Okay.
This is like when
middle
I'm
child.
9.
Never mind. Got it.
Yeah. I would fly under the radar, but I kind of noticed things, things like, a little instability, like, hey, mom might not be coming home tonight. Guys, let's just buckle down and see what we can do to make her happy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Is it because of her nursing job and such?
no, it's just really a struggle for everyone at the time.
Understood.
With all that instability, I can hardly blame anyone.
Yeah.
But we moved back here basically on my mom's request. And then we settled down. I was homeschooled for most of my life. But from 2nd grade to 5th grade, I went to public school.
Okay. How was that?
Public-
What's kind of like that difference? What kind of stuck out to you?
Well, there's like 2 eras because from kindergarten to 1st grade, I was homeschooled.
Gotcha.
And that I don't remember a ton of. It was just kind of learn your ABCs,
Mm-hmm.
learn your basics. And then I remember being public schooled from 2nd grade to 5th grade. I was a very quiet kid, but I was kind of in the gifted section.
Mm-hmm.
Like they offered me to skip grades and stuff, but that is kind of a scam.
Yeah. Why is that? Or from your understanding, why would it be a scam?
Well, it's like, A, you're not getting that experience that you would have growing up through that and going through that. And B, I think the whole gifted programs are just kind of bad.
Oh yeah. In what way? Like they're not actually helpful, or?
Well, it's just like, well, do I think of myself now as gifted? No, I'm just like a normal ass 21-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you trying to do to like put that expectation on a 4th grader? Like
You're supposed to be smart.
You're supposed to be smart. You're supposed to be as smart as the 6th graders right now. You want to go up. I think that's a bad expectation to have, and I know a lot of people who are like gifted children. They just grow up with this unreasonable expectation that, hey, you're supposed to be this gifted child, and why are you failing?
Do you hear the you have so much potential?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's
Yeah.
like so destructive, because then you're like, oh man, why am I not, leading a Fortune 500 company at 12
Exactly.
years old?
yeah. Once you put people in the gifted program, you automatically set them with a whole bunch of expectations.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of that program. I mean, not to say that you shouldn't give gifted students probably different treatment. I don't know what the answer is. It's just, I know that you're putting a bunch of expectations on them.
Yeah. And you recognize that and you didn't want to go into it, or did your parents go, well, we're just going to put them in the regular?
My mom basically recognized was like, you're missing a lot of life by just skipping from like one grade and going way up.
How many grades would you
I
be
was
skipping?
offering to go from like 3rd to 6th.
Oh man.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah,
it's
where
like
did
the
your
end of
childhood go?
3rd. Exactly.
Wow.
So I can't imagine that would have been a good thing. That would have led to a lot of problems. Imagine being a 4th grader in a 6th grade class.
Yeah. Would have felt real small, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, there was someone in my middle school who actually skipped a couple grades. Tiny. He was tiny.
And they're like, look at you, little kid. No. Some people are nice. I mean, I don't.
Definitely.
Some people are bullies, though.
I never really interacted with him, so I couldn't tell you much. But
Dang. Yeah.
I did notice a tiny person there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how was that public school experience then?
It was largely positive. I was an ADHD kid, so they put me on Ritalin. So I was like hyper focused the entire time. I was that really good student because I would like complete my math homework or whatever, and still have like 3 hours left to what people would use to study, and I'd just read a book.
Yeah, you told me you'd read for like hours and hours and hours.
I would just like read Magic Treehouse books for
Yeah.
hours.
I mean, I was similar way in like middle school. I would just come home and I would either, ride my bike with my brothers, or I would just be reading till dinner time,
Yeah, no, I was reading all the time. I'd read during lunch, and they would actually have to snatch my books from me because they're like, eat your food. Because I was also skinny, like super skinny.
Because don't those like Ritalin, it kind of suppresses appetite or something?
Yeah, it's an appetite suppressant. So I didn't want to eat anything at all, and if I did eat, I was probably going to throw it up.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So yeah, I was going to read my book. So I wasn't super pro-social. Most people liked me, but I didn't have a ton of friends.
Yeah.
And that was basically my life, like from 3rd grade to 5th grade.
Yeah. Just that's.
So with reading books, did any book like stand out to you while you were growing up that just kind of shaped your beliefs?
Yeah, something that maybe you think about from time to time, or.
From that era, not really. Most of the interesting reading I've done basically has happened in the past couple of years.
Oh, okay. Some more recent stuff.
Yeah, what I would read was like young adult fiction, like basically the equivalent of Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah.
There's this book series called Michael Vey, which was just a bunch of superpowered teenagers and, an oppressive scientist guy.
It's always.
who's trying to experiment on them.
That's like the Maximum Ride series. Did you read that?
No, never read that.
Same sort of deal. No, all those young adult novels kind of had this similar like vibe to them. And then reading them now, some of them were actually like they translate to adulthood very well. Other ones I'm like, oh
yeah.
Oh man. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I kind of
terrible.
liked this series because it was dark. Like the first one, you end up the main protagonist is put into this torture cell for like weeks on end.
Way to spoil it.
Cut
Was that your favorite part? Like
I just love the torture scenes. Can't get enough of that good stuff.
Oh, oof. No, but nothing really besides that kind of like.
Nothing that was super impactful.
I mean, go ahead.
There were a couple of things. I read this book that was like, there were 2 books. There was like 7 Great Women and 7 Great Men, and a couple of things stuck with me. Like, do you know who William Wilberforce is?
No, actually.
Oh, he's like a super interesting guy. I read a biography on him. He's like from the 1760s to like the 1830s or something.
Okay.
He basically helped. He's one of the early abolitionists, and he got rid of slavery in Britain. And a lot of people don't know this about Britain, but they spent like a huge amount of money to get rid of the slave trade.
That came after Emancipation Proclamation and Civil War, right?
No, that came it was
before.
This is like closer to.
Oh, that's right, because it was okay.
Yeah, he was born in 1760 something,
and
so
1830 is before. Yeah, okay.
This is happening well before like
all that
anything in America.
Yeah.
And yeah, they just spent huge amounts of money to emancipate slaves and put ships out there to stop the slave trade. So like physically.
So was it at that time, was he a key factor in making it like illegal for slavery and such?
Yeah. I can't remember the whole thing because this was when I was like in middle school, but he was a huge factor in changing public opinion, really making abolitionism a thing that can't exist. Like, there's no abolitionism here if it doesn't happen there.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And what kind of, from those, maybe his words or maybe an event that involved him, kind of stuck out to you the most?
Well, it's just that guy's willing to put everything on the line. Like, he risked his reputation.
Yeah.
He risked getting, like, it was unpopular. People love their slaves.
You know, it's kind of interesting, things like that, because you read about in the past, like, oh, getting rid of slavery. It's like, yeah, well, I would definitely do that. And like, I don't see why everyone else didn't do that. And you know, it's like, okay, back then you probably would have been more toward the average population, and also just fighting against the status quo of anything.
Exactly.
Even just in the workplace, even amongst friends, just fighting against something that you believe is wrong and trying to convince other people that it's wrong and making huge social and legal changes. That is a lot. That is an immense undertaking. And I think a lot of people don't realize just how much it takes to do that, and just how dangerous it could be, because a lot of people, a lot of industry relied on slavery and such, and so that guy might have, had a hit on him or something all the time.
Yeah, no, it's people don't give enough respect to the people who were changing it at the time.
Yeah.
It's very popular now that they define like that one thing, like, oh yeah, but did he treat women right? Was he a little sexist?
Yeah.
Was he a little sexist now? Oh, he made up free the slaves, but the man told his wife to go make him a sandwich.
Oh, yikes.
So,
yeah. But I mean, yeah, that is a good point. Sometimes people overlook the fact that, he did do something major, and he was still a human being.
Yeah,
so he still made mistakes, even though he
like,
did something.
Okay, but was
majorly
he
good.
Nice to gay people? It's like
We don't know. It was 1830.
Exactly. It's judging people by a modern lens.
Back then, weren't gay people couldn't? Okay, sorry. I can't recall if it was like further back, but weren't they categorized as witches?
Like Salem witch trials and such. Like
That's
sort of
above
thing?
my head.
There may have been instances. I don't know if it was like every single time someone was, homosexual, they were like witch, or because I know a lot of times it was behind closed doors, or in like I know on ships, like a lot of those guys were homosexual, and so it was a little less taboo. Not on every ship, but I know you're spending a year with all these dudes, no woman in sight. No, but they're in. I mean, you think. Like Greece and the Romans engaged in that sort?
And basically everyone in
everyone
history
at some point, like it was,
is very common to have sex with little boys.
Yeah, which is, and supposedly that's what,
and that's how you became a man. Like,
like knights would have their squire and such when they go on trips, and that's
okay.
Yeah, it gets a little weird, but homosexuality was.
I for one appreciate that tradition has died off.
The little boy ones.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
So going back to the slavery thing real quick, it just popped in my head.
Gotta hit every point today.
I'm thinking we're kind of headed back in the circle. It's a cycle.
In what way?
People back then humans are just lazy. We're lazy. We like things when they're convenient. That's probably one of the main reasons why people had slaves back then. Now, with technology, we are slowly getting to a point to where AI is become more and more of a thing. Things get automated. Things are becoming easier for people.
So are you saying that's our...
Yeah.
That's AI. But I mean, that always begs the question, how much... Is AI like a person? Is it a soul? Is AI, should it have any rights? Is it anything at all besides just some computer code, And apparently there are a lot of people who are digging into the ethics of it and saying, it's more than just a computer program, more than just a robot, whatever.
We'll have to just wait and watch it unfold.
Yeah. Part of me is like, why would you make it closer to that? You know what I mean? Like, stop before it becomes an ethical problem. because you don't want to create the ethical problem and then be like, is it a problem? You know?
Is it a problem?
Just stop before it becomes an ethical problem.
It's just when it comes to that, people have needs,
Yeah.
and when people have those needs, they will find a way to meet those needs.
Yeah.
And so even if it's unethical, as long as their needs are met, they won't think any more of it.
Are we talking sexual needs?
Like any,
No.
Jesus. Any.
Yeah, in my head, I was thinking more
Business.
Like, yeah, in my head, I was thinking
social.
more social.
People
Definitely
have
social.
needs.
Come on, Drew.
Just like someone to talk to, you know.
Yeah. And that's become a big thing with like AI is companionship. And but yeah, no, something you were talking about is like you were saying that, you know, AI, those would be the modern slaves, but I would almost say you know, it would be us controlled by technology almost. And I don't want to compare it to the same thing because, you know, I'm not getting beaten on the daily.
It is very different.
I have plenty of food and water, shelter. I have autonomy. I could go wherever I want to with a license, but generally I could go walk somewhere if I wanted to. I could buy a shirt, you know, things like that. So it's not at all the same as, you know, slavery as it was. Yeah. But there's definitely some sort of pull in the sense that you have to do certain things like working and jobs, and at the same time, I mean, that is a choice to go do those things. But right now, I mean, you need to make money, and you know, economic times right now are hard, and you got to go do a job to make money, and it's
Agreed.
It's a little limiting, but definitely not anywhere close to what it was.
Well, actually, I can't remember where I heard this, but there's more slaveries now than there has ever been.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, not necessarily in this country, but also
like Mauritanian cobalt slaves.
And exactly, yes, and also the what is that? The when people are being sold as sex slaves everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Human trafficking,
Yeah.
all sorts of, you know, human trafficking, whether it's just for labor or for sexual things. Yeah, there are more slaves now than there ever was before, which is completely insane to me.
That is.
Okay, maybe we don't have this like culture of just like, yeah, slavery, but it's definitely underground and it's more widespread. And that's extremely depressing to me. That's a great point to bring up, that cut all the AI, cut all the I got to go to work. That's a real thing.
Yeah, there's also just actual slaves out there.
Actual real people who don't have autonomy, people being used and abused, people who can't get the necessities.
You know, it still happens here too, because from my
Oh, yeah.
relationships, I've known people who know another person.
Yeah.
I know of 3 people who did human trafficking.
Who did or were like victims of?
Who did.
Oh, so like maybe somebody they knew.
Yeah. So it's still out there, and it's
Wait, who did
crazy.
human trafficking? Like they were trafficking the humans?
Yes, like
Oh.
they
Yeah.
were kidnapping people.
Oh,
and
shit.
trafficking.
Yeah,
So it's still out there. So it's scary,
that's very scary. And
because I wouldn't even imagine hearing about 3 different people that are like in this area, like in the state.
yeah, you don't think, but hey, we're in Kansas City. A lot of terrible shit goes through Kansas City. We're like
That's true.
at the middle of the country. We're a hub. A lot of stuff funnels through here. But yeah, no, and it's weird to think about that. You know, as a child, I was walking alone on trails at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I had a knife, but you know, that's not really, you know. But that is scary, and yeah, I think about that a lot actually sometimes. Thanks for bringing that up, because that's a real point of actual legitimate, not first world problem. Like it's real everywhere.
Yeah.
Actual slavery that's going on. So yeah, that's quite the tangent from your from reading your books. Yeah.
Reading books like
So okay,
that
I'll
one guy.
go to this. What are some major wins and then major challenges you faced growing up?
Major wins.
And then how did you grow from them?
Some of the major wins is just like when shit hits the fan, I'm able to be there for people who I care about. I'll give an example. We used to have this dog. Everyone loved this dog.
Oh.
Everybody was out of the house, except for me and my mom. And then one day this dog gets ran over by a truck. My mom goes out there. She gets to see it first. The neighbor talks to her. She comes in and she's just bawling. She is like, it's imprinted in my mind. I can see it. I can close my eyes and go right back there. And I'm proud that I could be the guy who could just go there and comfort and help out in that situation and be the guy in that situation.
So that's something that kind of came out of your childhood, that somewhere it was fostered, that sort of skill.
Yeah, I can comfort. I can protect people when crisis happens. I don't want to be like that big strong guy who never cries, but I'm the guy who, if shit hits the fan, you can look to. And that's what I really want to continue in my life to uphold. That's the story I want to see in myself. But in my childhood, there's places where that's happened. One time, my brother, we used to have a pool when we were really little. This is like, he's 5, I'm 7 or something. His eyes were always bigger than his stomach, or I guess his feet this time, because he went into the pool and he can't swim.
Oh.
So... So I just see this happen. I go and I rush over to where my mom and my dad are, and I'm pounding on the door. It feels like it's a minute or two. I mean, I'm a kid, so I don't know how long it's been, but I'm just pounding on the door trying to get my mom and dad's attention. And like, hey, my brother's drowning. Somebody go save my brother. Eventually my dad comes out. He goes out and he just dives into the pool and carries him out. Moments like that, those are where I see myself as
like where even if maybe you didn't jump into the pool, you took action to.
Yeah, I couldn't really swim that well. What was I going to do?
Drown too.
So
okay.
Things like that. I'm not a big personal glory guy. There are a few times where I'm like, oh yeah, I did a really cool thing in that sports one time. But those things don't really matter to me in the bigger scheme of things. It's just how I can help people. And what was the other part of that question?
What things have challenged you, and of course, how you grew from both the wins and the challenges.
Yeah. All right. So things that challenged me, especially through my teenage years from about 2016 to 2020, 2021. This is more recent. I started struggling with depression and anxiety really bad. Since I was homeschooled, I didn't get a ton of social exposure. And I did things like baseball, but that's like once a week. Yeah. And I think you've come to learn I'm a pretty social person.
Yeah. So that was not enough for you?
No, because if I'm not by people, I get very sedentary. I'll just sit in my bed, I'll eat pizza and play video games.
So do you think that's where that kind of lull came from, is you just weren't getting what you needed as like a human being?
Well,
like just social connection and purpose and things like that?
Yeah, it was that, and it was also a combination of just trauma. Like my grandma had just died. And then my mom goes and she basically is living with my grandpa, who's like 2 hours away. My dad is a very good provider, but he's not a very emotionally, emotional guy. He's kind of there, but he's kind of on the side.
Yeah,
so
a little detached.
Yeah, a little detached. So I'm just here I basically had to help myself in that situation. And this is going through high school, which at that time I was doing the hardest classes I've ever done. In college, I've never done classes as hard as that.
What sort of classes were they?
Specifically, I'm talking about one class.
Okay.
It was a civics class. It was a first-year teacher, and he didn't know how to do.
That is rough. That is rough.
A workload. So he wanted us to write a paper like every week. And then like every month he wanted us to write like a 5-page report or something. And I was already going through it. So it was...
How did you do?
Horrible. I'm so ashamed of myself. I am so ashamed. My mom helped me write so many of those things. Like last minute, I hid it from my parents because they were going through this trauma too.
Yeah.
So I would hide it. And then I'd be like, hey, Mom. Or they would see it. And then they'd be like, Drew, what the hell are you doing? And then it would be like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say that's something you have to be sorry for, though, because it wasn't your fault.
I mean, at the time, it was just like, I still had this expectation. I'm the gifted student. I mean, I shouldn't be
okay.
failing this. This
Gotcha.
is something I'm totally capable of.
And so you feel like you're tumbling and stuff.
Yeah,
no,
and
I
I'm just
feel
like, well, I'm not living up to expectations. I'm
Mm-hmm.
failing this and that, and I feel just an immense amount of shame at that time. Like I'm letting down not only myself but my parents who care a lot about me.
Yeah.
And invested all this money because it's the thing I was in wasn't cheap. Like,
Gotcha.
you know, all this money and all this resources.
Was that public school?
No, this is private or
Private.
not private. This is a homeschool, but it was like in
Some sort of program thing?
yeah, it was a HSLEA academy.
Gotcha.
My teachers were great, to be fair.
But for some reason, that one just...
Yeah, he overworked everybody. And even with my teachers were great. I couldn't like reach out to them if I was struggling. He
Gotcha.
goes, hey, there's like a communication distance. I wasn't the most tech savvy kid, so it's not like I felt confident enough to just shoot an email, be like, hey, I'm struggling here. My grandma just died. So my mom would do that, and my mom would make apologies for me, which just so that entire like high school experience is basically just that, filled with layers and layers of shame and guilt, and that shame and guilt led to shame, guilt, and trauma led to like depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
Shame, guilt,
A
trauma,
rolling stone.
all while being like rolled up in no social activity.
Man, isolation is the worst though, because you don't know how to compare yourself to anything.
Exactly.
You don't know
what you
when
don't
you're
know.
falling. You don't know if you're doing well. You don't have a support system. It's rough when there's no context to anything.
Yeah, and my mom, who really was my emotional support system at the time, she was like off helping my grandpa because he didn't even know his own address.
Yeah. So
So-
she's going through it. Dad's going through it. Brother's going through it. You're going through it.
Yeah.
And I
I didn't even mention that my youngest brother, got really sick at the time. He was basically bedridden for 2 years. He would have these seizures where he would get up and he would like go into a PTSD attack. It's hard. That's the only way you can explain it. But he would like
Gotcha.
swing at you. So you had to get 3 full-grown adults to sit on him until he calmed down. And this could take hours.
And that was just to do what? Would it just sporadically happen, or was it?
Yeah, it would just sporadically happen. I wasn't there all the time. I mean, I was avoiding everything at the time, just, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause
He's
of the
doing well now, though.
He's
right?
doing pretty well now.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's getting there.
Yeah, you talk about how he likes to go fishing and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
he likes to go fishing. You know, he's trying to figure out his place in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's still figuring out, but he's on the right trajectory. So,
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good to hear.
yeah, that was just a whole chaotic time.
Yeah. And so then I want to ask, so how did you get to where you are now? So kind of bridge that gap from what you would say is that kind of like childhoodish teen to, okay, now I'm here in college doing what I'm doing. What, fill that space
How
in
did I
for
get
me.
from A to B? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at some point I kind of just said, well, my life is shit. I feel awful. I hate staying in my bed all day. So after I got done with high school, I didn't even know what to do. I didn't even graduate, technically.
Really?
No.
Wow.
I do have my GED.
Oh, okay.
Even that's kind of by technicality, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, at some point I was just like, wow, everything sucks. I start doing like DoorDash just to get some money, because having some amount of money would be great.
Yeah.
I was always into politics. So my first job before any of this shit really went down was like in 2014.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I worked
That was a while ago.
well,
I was a
okay,
freshman.
maybe 2012, honestly.
Oh, man.
I know I was
in 6th grade.
no, maybe it's 2016. Anyways, it's probably 2016 because I was 14.
Yeah.
Just before everything went down. I worked at this political campaign for a local person who was running for lieutenant governor, Bev Randalls. She would actually be governor right now if she won her election or her primary.
Gotcha. But I'm guessing she didn't then.
She
Yeah.
lost. It was
Damn.
a really small one. I
Yeah.
remember I was making signs and I'd fold up shirts and I would take these checks that looked huge at the time.
You're like $40.
I'm like, 1,200? What?
Nice.
And then I talked to someone, they're like, oh, those aren't even the big ones. I'm like, those aren't the big ones? What are the big ones?
So much money coming in.
Yeah. So but I was always into politics, and most of my jobs have been political in some way or another.
Like the one you have now.
For anyone who doesn't know, I do pest control now.
Very political.
Very political.
No, sorry, continue.
So what I did is I went and I did DoorDash for a while, and that was basically just a nihilism job. I was just doing it to go through the motions. I'd make like $200 a week, and I would eat my way through that $200, and then I'd do $200 a week, and then I'd get fast food and I'd eat through it.
Ah, man.
Would you DoorDash your food?
I wouldn't DoorDash.
Yeah, you DoorDash your own food.
DoorDash is
give
a
yourself
scam.
a tip.
No, Then things started to get a little bit better because I started getting out there a little bit, and then about last summer, I started doing like canvassing, which is door to door. You're knocking and asking people's opinions on things, asking if they'll vote for your guy.
Hey, that's pretty social.
Yeah, and then it started everything out. I'd go and knock on door, go. Go, hi, my name is Drew. I'm with blankety blank, and I was wondering if you would consider blankety blank for the upcoming primaries. And then sometimes people would tell you to fuck off, and then sometimes people would be like, oh yeah, I love you. And then like if I was the other kind of guy, you would hate me. And then some people you would actually get in a really long, lengthy, interesting conversation with. Like I remember like talking with like this one history teacher, high school history teacher, and I could just talk.
He was there for 8 hours.
I would talk to him for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Not doing
It's
my
like,
job.
come back for the next lesson tomorrow.
Yeah, but it just kind of helped me engage my social skills. That I was a really social child. I had a lot of friends, but it took a while to kind of re-engage those. I kind of like to look at my past self like with rose-colored glasses. Like that child would just go up to a bunch of old folks, say, "Hey, what are you playing?" and go play cards with them. Like, how come I couldn't do that now?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's go do that. And just, it just helped me get out of my shell a little bit. I started going to therapy. That helped too. It was a long process, about 2 years. That started about the time that all started too. So it was really slow growth. It's like, what is it, an L curve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, growth is growth, if you're going forward. It's better than going backward.
Exactly. You don't compare yourself to where other people are, just where you were the other day.
Yep.
So, I started doing just little things that were positive. I started playing music, which helped me, manage it. Eventually, I was like, I should probably go to college. So
I should do that. Which, hey, that makes a little more sense now, because I was wondering why, just like me, you're a little older than the people, the newcomers straight from high school.
Yeah.
So I knew you had taken some sort of break or delay of some sort, and I just didn't know what reason. And I mean, that makes sense, what you were doing. Just, it seemed like you were kind of setting yourself up a little bit, like getting things straightened out a bit. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, that's right, I could continue on my path. It seemed like you were just kind of taking care of the hang-ups.
Yeah, and I'm not sure you know about this. You might. There's this guy called Jordan Peterson. You probably heard about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would listen to all of his stuff. Like when I was door dashing, I'd listen to his podcast. I'd listen to hundreds of hours of him. Like,
so you made your bed every morning?
No.
Oh.
I made my bed.
Oh shit. Okay, I was wondering the lobster. Oh my gosh, I was like, why is he wearing a Hydra shirt? But I didn't realize it was the lobster head instead of the skull. Man, that's funny.
Yeah, I picked this shirt intentionally.
I didn't know you were somebody who was really big into his content and stuff. You know, I've listened to a lot of his things. I've listened to a lot of individuals like that who, like people like Jocko Willink, David Goggins, and other individuals maybe who are not as like intense too, and just those individuals who have a lot of life experience and a lot of insight and are trying to help people, get on the path, not be stuck per se, and not help themselves climb out of depression, and how you just live life and do things. Yeah. So I had no idea you were listening to him so much.
I mean, he's like probably my biggest influence
Gotcha.
up to this point. And even then, like I'd listen to him and then I'd take none of his advice, like for years and years and years. I was just like accumulating it.
Yeah. You were like, oh, this sounds
Like
great.
this is like
does the
great
opposite.
advice. Let me just continue doing what I'm doing. But it was, like I said, it's a little incremental change here and there.
People don't really change until they're ready, and then they'll make big drastic changes. So it makes sense. Like if you're not quite ready to hear the message, it won't hit you quite the same.
Exactly. You know, it just took time, and as I accumulated the message, it started to make more sense. You know, tell the truth, clean your room. I finally have a clean room.
Yeah,
I'm proud of that.
That makes sense why you've been so proud of that, because I know when you were kind of part of the friend group in the beginning of that, you kept talking about how you were, cleaning this section of your room, cleaning that section of your room, and then you were telling me about how clean your room was like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that it's like, oh, I can bring my cat in now, but oh man, all this hair. How do you deal with your dog hair? And I was like, it makes sense why it means so much to you now.
Yeah.
So
I'm thrilled to have a clean room.
thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
And Coral is one of the what is it? Campus life and
Yeah,
leadership.
campus life and leadership. She's like one of the main people there.
Yeah, and she just gave us popcorn over here.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
thank you, Coral.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, I guess that's convenient time because do you mind if we take a break? I gotta pee a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
All
I
right.
mean, we could just intermission, eat some popcorn. Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah, are we playing the intro again?
No.
The intro again.
Okay, we'll just go. All right. All right, and we're back from our popcorn intermission. Again, thank you, Coral.
Da-da-da-da,
But,
da-da-da-da.
yeah,
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Brandon. I forgot.
Yeah, exactly. All right,
Okay.
so we were talking about a lot of things like how Jordan Peterson impacted you and how much you were listening to his content and stuff like that. So when did the switch flip? Because you were talking about how you just consumed a lot of his content, and then
it just switch flipped.
or was it so gradual and then you just realized, oh,
It was
I'm
like
being more
It's
responsible?
like exponential, It's like
Yeah.
a little bit, a little
little more.
and then once you start seeing success, it just goes crazy.
Yeah.
I would say probably culminated around like last winter
Last winter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like when all the
when things really started to go well.
Yeah, because last winter, I mean, that was last winter, not this past winter. Last winter meeting.
Like-
Sorry.
What year?
Yeah, what 2022 winter,
Like
2020.
2022 between like October and November.
Okay, that's where I was thinking.
Yeah.
I just thinking about it. I was like, last winter. Does he mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know from that. That's kind of when I met you along with all the people in kind of our friend group at Maple, that group too, and so that's kind of where it culminated for you.
Yeah, that's basically when the ideas hit the action. So,
That's interesting timing.
Mhm.
Do you think it had anything to do with that group of people?
Oh, it definitely did. I
Okay.
mean, once I started to make friends and I was kind of strong enough in myself that I wasn't just going to compromise my ideals at that point. I knew them too well.
You had a little more identity.
Yeah. I'd kind of strengthened myself to like, I know what I want to do. I know how to be happy. Before this group, I had like a bunch of gamer groups online, and those people were supportive of me.
It's different when you're in person, though.
It definitely is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I didn't have those groups, I would have like lost all my identity
Of course.
and all my social skills for sure.
Yeah.
So it's
It's kind of weird how even like they're like, stop being so antisocial, and you're out here playing games, being collaborative on Discord, and like
yeah, I'm like
working
helping,
as a team to accomplish a goal.
helping to run a little community.
Yeah.
Like
It's something.
keeping the rules. Making sure everyone's treating everyone fairly.
It's a little different than like in person, but I mean, think of it this way. This is probably why you wanted to move the group chat onto Discord. But I mean, that's what we have. We have a group chat with a bunch of friends.
Yeah,
And
I wanted to move it
similar
to
stuff.
Discord because
It's better.
Snapchat is just so bad for like a large group.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. I guess it's convenient. People are on there already.
Yeah, Yeah. So it's hard to convince people, hey, there's this thing that's like 10 times better for what we want to do.
Yeah. And, taking pictures is, with Discord, it's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it?
I mean,
I
it's
feel
not
like it's
For
pretty easy on
snapping
phone.
the same way. I don't know.
you just can't put like the title, but I like the little.
Oh,
You have to, like, put
yeah,
the
like
caption
edit.
on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can, but you can caption it in other ways.
Yeah.
Like
It's better for a lot of other things.
Mhm.
I think maybe in the future we'll realize that. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a little hope for that.
I will say that timing was pretty helpful to me as well, because I kind of came from a study group
Mhm.
at UMKC the previous year, in that spring, and I took a summer class here, and then I was taking classes there, and I was pretty much alone except for like USA.
Mhm.
And then we were just doing some podcast stuff, and it was, I don't know, it was pretty rough for me as well around that time, but I mean, not terrible. That was last year. I was 22, so I was a year older than you are now. I had some time for more development and more identity, but I mean, I was just going through things, trying to do school, trying to do well. I had just switched from not knowing what to do to a mechanical engineering program, and so I was going into like my second year of that, and so it was still fresh, and this was a big move for me, going back to the community college, because I thought, oh, finally I'm out of community college, and then I look, I'm like, oh, same classes, cheaper, better teachers, so it was a big move. Okay, I'm coming back here.
Yeah.
And so that whole friend group was very positive for me, and I ended up also, dating someone within it, or currently right now. So, it was very positive for me too. And so I don't know. That was a good time.
Yeah, is and I
currently
mean, I
is.
think it's good for like everybody in the group, especially like the tighter knit group.
Yeah, I feel a lot of individuals grown from that, because
Yeah.
I mean, they had exposure and commitment, say,
Yeah.
to others. And I don't know. I think us being slightly older individuals have also had a positive influence on those younger people, because I mean, our group is anywhere from at the time it was people who were like 18 to, I think I was the oldest at the time, 22. So that spanned a good range of different experiences, and everyone in that group was pretty much decent people.
Yeah.
Even the most out there of people was
We're good
doing
people.
pretty good.
You
Yeah.
didn't have any like antisocial people.
Yeah, didn't have
It
anyone
was-
destructive for the most part.
No.
It was generally good people. So I think like-minded individuals or good people tend to group together. I don't know, but it was by chance maybe.
When you put pro-social people together, they just get more pro-social.
Yeah.
If you put an anti-social person in a pro-social group, the entire group gets more antisocial.
I guess that's true. Yeah. It's easier to poison the well than to dilute the poison.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's we just put a bunch of good people together,
Yeah.
and then we just
By chance too. It wasn't exactly on purpose. 'Cause
yeah.
they just kind of would add somebody.
it was kind of by chance.
I was added by Cooper just kind of on a whim.
Yeah.
I knew some people from the Cornhole Club, and so I knew a lot of people there, but I was sitting there because of Jack, who was in one of my engineering classes. And yeah, it was like after Cornhole Club or something.
Yeah.
And then Cooper, we got to talking, and he just added me to the group.
Yeah.
And then that's how I became part
I think
of
it kind of grew out of the Cornhole Club, basically.
Yeah.
Like a combination of that and like a little bit of the Christian on Campuses Club.
Well, there was also just the fact that all those individuals would sit at the same table, because
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people who got there in the beginning, it was simply just a bunch of people at the same table.
Yeah.
And then later it started coming from groups. So I was one of those people who came from a group, and that was Cornhole Club.
Yeah.
And the fact that I knew Jack
Yeah.
throughout the year, but that's pretty cool. So that was context of who you are from little to now. What are you doing now?
Like right now. I'm
Like
doing
right
a
now.
podcast
And
with
what-
Brandon and Usa.
Yeah, like what are you doing now?
Right now, I'm trying to just continue my classes, trying to build my resume, and trying to be able to, get my associate's degree, essentially. Just trying to do classes, do well in them, and Yeah, there's people over there.
Yeah.
They just came out of nowhere. Do my classes, do well. And continue to have a friend and hold up to my responsibilities and try to gain responsibilities. Try to, be more self-sufficient. I'm wanting to pick up another job. I just want to continue on the path that I'm on.
Yeah.
I don't need to rock the boat at this point.
Gotcha.
So how are you managing all this time? Because I know you enjoy reading books.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing classes, you have a job, you're thinking about a second job, and I don't know if you're still, playing instruments or whatnot. Like, how do you manage all that?
I've always been terrible at time management. I've I'm getting a grip on it like right now.
Okay.
Just getting a grip on it. But a lot of times when I'm reading books, I'll just go audiobooks. And since when I'm at my job, I'm basically by myself. I can just put that in and I can listen to like 10 hours of audiobooks a week.
Okay.
So it's like easy enough. With school's just a set time that I'm going to have to be here and study. So it's like that's just sunken time. I already know that's going to be sunken. I just need to find a place to put that. Having another job, that's just something I can do on the weekends. I'm particularly thinking about having an acting job. Acting has kind of turned into a passion of mine. But yeah, I have want to do that, and then that's just something that I dedicate some time to on the weekends, and I make maybe an extra $100 a week, a couple $100 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Just a little thing.
Just a little thing. It's something I want to do, and I can make money doing it. So it's like, hey, why not?
Because you're still going on the morning runs, right?
Yeah.
So there's also that, and I don't know. There's
you were
seems
doing
like a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how you're just able to do that.
Can you kind of go into that though? Because I know just from being your friend for pretty much since last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were very active as a kid, but I mean, not so much anymore. But since that running group that we've kind of done, and you work out with me sometimes after,
Mm-hmm.
Is that another thing that you're kind of getting into now? And where do you see yourself kind of doing?
I mean, I really enjoy doing the running. I mean, kind of took over me for a second. It's a little less so now, but I still love to do it.
Yeah.
Now it's more like, I at one point it's like I'm really excited to go running, and now it's kind of like discipline. Like I should go running.
Yeah, like it's just something you do now.
Yeah, it's just something I do.
Yeah.
And like, man, it'll set my day on the right path. Let's go running.
Yeah. No, I always love starting the day with that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I do want to ask is currently, because we're all human beings, we're not finished people when we're 21 years old. We're
Mm-hmm.
always working on stuff. So what are some current struggles that you're facing that you're comfortable with sharing?
Current struggles. It is time management, trying to figure out where to put everything. And it's more just, having the discipline to do everything that I put in a schedule. It's just like, if I put a schedule in a month, chances are I won't do it, but I need to schedule that thing like a day, 2 days, like I'm doing this. And then it's like just developing the discipline to do all those things. Or if I don't do those things, at least put them to a place where I'll do them soon.
Yeah. I think we were talking about this before, and it's like scheduling out to where it feels real to you and not some abstract.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, creating things like feedback and accountability. So now I have 2 calendars. I have one calendar for the thing I'm doing in the next day or two, and then a monthly calendar where I mark off the things that I actually did.
Did I do any of the things?
Here's the things that I did. Okay, I'm making progress. Here's where I'm falling behind. So
That's a really good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Having a kind of almost like a lesson plan for school. Teachers will give you the schedule. This is what we're going to do. And of course, generally you want to stay on track, but sometimes, we're going to switch this around, do this, maybe shorten these days, lengthen these. So kind of just checking it off as you go, having that day to day, but also being able to look and go overall.
Yeah, yeah. And then it's like if I fucked up 3 days in a row, I can look back and be like, I fucked up 3 days in a row.
I'm a terrible person.
Shit.
Yeah.
I should really start doing that now.
Yeah.
So it kind of helped me. It's helping me catch myself. There's a little like instability at home. My dad lost his job recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
Damn.
there's like a couple things I'm like worried about.
Yeah.
We
I
could
feel
be
that.
moving, and that's
scary.
yeah, that is scary. I mean, I don't. It's like it's a low, maybe 20% chance, but it's, when it's in your mind,
It's
you know,
there.
It's
and
there.
then it's like, oh man, everything I've known for this.
Everything I've known at this group I just built, I feel like at home.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm worried like, could I do it again?
Yeah.
Should I like?
Is everything gonna fall apart? Am I gonna be able to recover?
Am I like the kind of person who can put together what I put together here all over again? Could I replicate this?
Yeah.
Should I replicate this? Do I know? Have I learned how to do this?
And how much can you maintain from the previous group?
Exactly.
You know, like,
I mean, in a
if
lot
you're
of
still
ways-
5 minutes away, dude. If you're 3 hours
if
away,
you're in Denver, you know.
Yeah, that's rough. So, damn, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah. I think he just got another job opportunity, so we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, hopefully it goes well.
Yeah. And it's a work from home thing, so hey, maybe chances are, you know, we're fine, we're sticking around, but
Yeah.
you know, in the meantime, it's just like, well, okay, well, what the fuck do we do?
Yeah.
How
make
can
as much money as possible. Make sure you don't have a lot of excess stuff, or you're consuming too many utilities, stuff like that.
Exactly, you know, try to be smart with your money, try
Yeah.
to learn how to budget, learn how to figure, you know, like these things that I'm still like, I started with like, feels like 2 years ago I started with nothing. So I'm still building up a lot of these things like budgeting, time management. But it's just like, you know, feet to the fire, you know?
Yeah. Some reality checks, you know,
Exactly.
stuff that kicks in. Stuff to test your mettle, like how far have you really come? So, and shit, that'll happen again and again and again. And I hear people tell me, you know, people who are older than me tell me like, oh yeah, it's going to be worse later. You know, your challenges now aren't, you know, near as what they could be later.
Well, yeah. And a lot of like the Jordan Peterson stuff that really came through is like, make yourself a strong enough person so you can withstand that stuff, because it's
Weather
going
the
to
storm.
happen.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
Did you build your shelter, you know, on the rocks or on the sand?
yeah, it's like, you know, the chaos is coming, whether you like it or not. You can accept it voluntarily, or you can just let it happen to you, and then you're going to get, you know, then it's going to be 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So just accept it now, and
Yeah, roll with the punches. Don't get cracked by them.
it only gets, you know, it multiplies and how bad it'll be.
So I asked, you know, some challenges right now, but what are some things you are doing really good right now and that you're really proud of yourself for doing? I know you've kind of hit on these, but maybe some more in a little greater detail. Like, what are you really happy about and stuff that you're like, I need to keep doing this?
Like, I'm happy that there is some order, because I am like manifest chaos. It's so easy for me to take chaos and chaos take hold of me. So right now there's a certain degree of order in my life, like schedules and running and like stability and order. I'm happy that I'm loving running, and I'm seeing like
I see it too.
physical
Like you're definitely driven, even more so than I say the other people in our group, because besides me, who, I mean, I started, so I have to be there every day.
Yeah.
Second would be like you, and then of course Danny. But after that, it's like, you know, Blake, and then some people come and go.
I try my best to be there. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, it's up to 3 o'clock.
Exactly. But I mean, you've been keeping up, and when the day is hard, it's not like you quit. You try to keep going. So that's something I do see, and I do appreciate that you're putting effort into that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's pretty difficult sometimes, but it's like, hey, you know, what's wrong with doing difficult things?
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm totally happy to do that. Other things I'm happy with is, you know, I'm happy my room's clean. I'm happy that my room's clean.
That's a good thing. I need to clean my room.
Yeah.
You know, I'm happy that I can like make my bed in the morning. I'm happy that I can, you know, manage my day. I'm happy with the amount of independence that I have. You know, a lot of our friends are like kind of bound by their parents, and I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, my parents are.
Yeah, when you live in their house, you know, then you're subjected to their rules still.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, I know how to set up boundaries. I know how to make friendships, and, you know, I know how to have intimate friendships. And I suppose I'm kind of comparing myself to the things I've seen around me, but I'm able to do that, and some people aren't. I'm able to, have those friendships. I'm able to be social. I'm working on being able to be like kind of a showman, have some showmanship.
Because you're involved in theater right now.
Yeah,
and you're working on that. You're practicing, rehearsing, or
well, I'm studying and rehearsing, and aspiring to rehearse sometimes.
There's going to be a play or
there's going to be a play at some point. I think it's next spring, and then upcoming we're going to be doing for the vet tech. We're going to be animals, so.
Wait.
You ever see the
like you're gonna dress up as animals?
Yeah, pretty much. You see those not furries. Hopefully, we're not gonna go full furry.
Not gonna buy the paw gloves.
You see that? What is it? Those young adult the morphers things. No, like the books.
No.
Oh, Animorphs?
Animorphs.
I just remember other people reading it around me.
We're going to animorph into some animals.
The furthest I got in that book was someone showing me that the little character in the corner transforms when you flip through it.
Yeah, that was it. I saw that. So yeah, we're going to animorph.
Yikes. But something good that I know at least is that you are either a co-leader or one of the leaders of the theater club, correct?
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Oh, you're trying to be.
Well, it's more like it's an unofficial thing.
Yeah.
I know Micah.
You're the assistant too.
I'm the assistant. I want to be the best assistant to Micah, who is running it as I can be. I'm also going to be running the cornhole club.
Yeah, I was about to say. Mm-hmm. So you got two things now that you're going to be running on campus. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's pretty good considering what you were talking, where you came from, what's going on. I mean, you've got a good friendship or friend group going, you're running, you got stability in your life. Now you're going to be in leadership positions or position within school activities. Mm-hmm. And so I just think that's fantastic to be able to point to have something in your cookie jar and be like, look at where I am right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look at what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's very important to be able to do that, because there are lots of people who they make exponential growth, but they have no markers to show themselves that, oh yeah, I have grown a lot over these years. Mm-hmm. But so they end up going like, man, I'm in the same place where I was, until they find something. They look back and they're like, oh shit, no, I'm not the same at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, take me 2 years ago and put me here, and you're going to get a whole different guy.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I feel that one. So what? Oh, go ahead.
So with the whole theater thing, what kind of role do you play? Because I know you said you're having a show next spring, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that's super early. From what I've heard, we're trying to do Noah. I might be the one doing Noah. I don't know.
Oh, weren't you trying to grow your beard?
Yeah,
I noticed
you
shaved
a second.
it.
I did. I mean,
you didn't like it, did you?
It was scratchy.
Yeah.
It kind of. I was like,
I think the prickly of stubble is worse than the scratchy.
Yeah. I'm okay with the prickly, but once it gets longer, but not long, it's hard to get over. So, but that's in next spring. I got 5 months to grow a beard if I want to grow a beard.
Better be growing it the whole time.
Yeah.
Diet white.
Diet white.
No, we'll go young Noah.
Young Noah, yeah.
A bachelor. No.
Noah the Bachelor. That's funny.
No, sorry, continue.
Here, wait, what was your question?
Just pretty much the role you're playing.
Oh, yeah. We're looking for Noah, but I mean, I'm pretty much happy with any role. As I'm engaging in more responsibilities, maybe I can't take a lead role, but I really don't think I've hit my limit yet. So I'm just pushing everything until I do. So it's like, I'll basically accept anything. I'll be like, yeah, sure, I can do that.
So what previous roles have you had before?
I've only been in one other play. Last fall, we did a Thurber Carnival. It's like a collection of skits. So it's like, I was a bunch of things. I was General Grant. I was
Ulysses.
Yes, I was the drunk General Grant.
Oh God.
That was fun. That was really fun. I was Walter Mitty. I was Papa Sheep.
Don't know that one.
It was basically like, a storybook.
Okay.
Like the 3 little sheep.
Call me Papa Sheep.
They call me Papa Sheep. Ladies.
Aren't you trying not to be a sheep though? The Papa Sheep. Gotcha. All right, continue.
I'm trying to remember. I was like the camera guy. Was like the mailman. I didn't. Those were non-speaking roles, but I just did them.
That's some good diversity to start out with. Like you don't have like, oh, I've only been like this one character. You kind of dipped your toes in a lot of different types of character. Good exposure, I should say.
And even Walter Mitty, like I'm not sure you know what Walter Mitty is.
Yeah, Secret Life of Walter Mitty, was it?
Yeah. But
I saw
that
that.
character itself is a lot of different characters.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Because I mean, you have to act out the little scenes in his head, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So you're like you're a pilot in like 1942 going through a hurricane to try to drop the bombs on whatever. And then you're
just
doctor.
the regular guy.
And you're just
This regular meek ass guy, just like, hey guys, I hope my wife doesn't beat me today.
Oh man, that sucks.
So what would you say is your favorite show that you've seen or
that I've seen? Oh,
yeah.
Without a doubt. It's the first one that really it captured me. I saw the Screw Tape Letters at the Kansas City, I think it's a symphony building.
The Performing Arts Center.
Yeah, the Performing Arts Center. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I remember going and they're all cynical, like, I'm going to hate this. This is going to suck.
Yeah, it's just a play or a
This
musical.
is so stupid. I can't believe they're dragging me along. And then like halfway there, I'm like, yes. Oh, that's so cool.
Who dragged you along?
My parents.
Like, I don't want to go.
I don't want to go. I mean, I was in depressive stage, so I don't want to go.
It makes sense. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to leave the house. You don't want to move.
I don't want to do that. And then I went back. I was like, oh, that was so cool. I can't believe.
And then you're like, how do I do that?
The way the person made me feel. And then it's like, how I want to do that. I mean, that was kind of like the beginnings of
the seeds.
The seeds, and that was years ago. So I was like, the seeds were planted, and it's like, oh man, I remember that, and I just remember how thrilled I was to walk out of that.
Yeah,
I never imagined that live performance could be so exciting, but it was.
Damn, that's pretty magical. And I mean, something we haven't quite hit on that I would like to is music. You enjoy music, and how does that go with these musicals and plays, and just your personal relationship to music? I know you play the piano. You have a couple stringed instruments, but mainly piano is what you do.
I mean, piano was probably the first thing I picked up, like when I was trying to help myself and get out of my rut. When I was doing DoorDash at like for $200 a week or something. I can't remember. It was like a ridiculous amount. $200 a month or something. Yeah. I would go and I'd do piano lessons for about 6 months.
No way. I didn't know that. I thought you had just like studied it on your own. Oh, you made it sound that way.
Before that, I
studied music theory.
A lot of music theory. Yeah.
Okay.
I would watch all music theory videos on YouTube. I'd watch that for hours and hours. I mean, I watched so much YouTube at that time. I wasn't doing anything better. So I just watch a bunch of music theory and you're like, okay, so this is the circle of this. This is how it, this is
scales, modes,
modes, harmony, which I still don't understand.
Voices.
things that I still don't fully understand, but I got them in my register and I was like, man, that'd be cool to explore. And it's like, I had a little ukulele you saw. That was my first little instrument and it's super cheap. I was like, I'll do this. I can play this in my car while I'm waiting for DoorDashes.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Extra time.
Yeah.
So would you wow, I completely forgot.
Yeah, would you would you?
Why?
Hold on. Let's see. Music
theory,
musical
modes.
Thank you so much. You're making it worse.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'll get back to it.
Okay.
I'm gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
You can steal the time. I'm gonna ask a next question if you're like, oh.
No, it's probably wasn't important if I just forgot that fast.
No, it happens. So I want to ask, what drives you as an individual?
What drives me? For a long time it was fear of failure, but that didn't drive me in good directions. Now it's more like, for a long time I was running away. Now I'm kind of running towards something. I'm like, okay, I can do things, which, I mean, you had Brogan on last podcast, and it seems like all he's ever done is done things,
which is kind of impressive. I was impressed, because I didn't know, he graduated so early, and then I was just very impressed by the way he would just go, oh, I want to do this, so I'm gonna go and do it.
Yeah.
It was very impressive,
and that's kind of like dawning on me now.
that I can just do things. You want to be the cornhole club leader? Why? I mean, that was more of like Jack asked me, but you want to go do theater? You can do theater. No one's stopping you. Go do it. You want to go play board games? Oh, there's a bunch of people doing it. Sure, go play board games. You want to go do piano? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, you have the ability to right now. Like nothing's stopping you. I mean, the only thing is when your schedule starts to fill up. But then again, I mean, if you want to do something more than what you're doing right now, you trade those, you switch the places of them.
Or you just get more productive.
That too.
I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I have such a full schedule, I can't do anything. It's like, well, yeah, because
sits on their phone for 3 hours.
Because you're doing all your stuff in the most unproductive way. Like you could do it 10 times faster if you wanted. But
efficiency.
Yeah. So most of the time when I look at my schedule, I'm like, I'm sure I could fit something and I just need to make something better. And I think that's a little fun challenge too. It's like, okay, so what am I doing wrong that I can just cut out? What am I doing wrong that I can like shrink?
Condense.
Yeah, it's like, don't cut out pieces of the pie, make the pie bigger.
Something that I saw or I've seen is USA's been pretty good at finding tools like AI tools to make his stuff go quicker and more efficient. Like you show me stuff all the time and you're like, hey, look, I just do this. And it just takes 2 seconds where I'm like, oh man, would have had to do that by hand. Take like 4 hours minimum.
Definitely.
And so, I mean, finding tools, that's something that he's always been good at doing, is finding efficient tools and kind of maximizing time with stuff. So
yeah, I got other stuff to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
And what's funny is when I first noticed that, it was you were making stuff more efficient so you could get back to gaming and watching your animes and stuff. You're like, I don't want to have to deal with this. So
that did not happen.
That's really funny. It's
Instead,
it's like the Bill Gates quote. Yeah, I just get a lazy person and I stick them on a hard job because I know they're going to find the easiest, most efficient way to do it.
Yeah.
Quite the opposite happened. Instead of like gaming and just watching more videos, I ended up putting more time into the podcast, making it more quality, something that I would like.
So the things that it started out a certain way just kind of like flipped. So different times. I was talking around more like 2020 type deal, not necessarily recent times. But yeah, because I know you don't really game too much anymore. So
yeah, I don't.
All right, so kind of more future stuff is what I want to come into. And what aspirations do you have for the future, and what are you doing now to fulfill them? And you've kind of touched on a little things, and just wanted more of a direct answer there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know where yet. I mean, I know what. And I'm trying to figure out the where and I know what and why. I want to graduate from here eventually.
Eventually.
It's going slow.
I feel you.
But I do want to graduate from here and get out of here and go be able to pursue things that I really enjoy academically, which is psychology. And I want to be able to do some things where I can look into law a little bit more, like what that really means.
Do you really want to do law?
Exactly. Like, what does that look like? Okay. Like, what is the nitty gritty? What are you doing every day? Because everyone's seen a law show and you're like, fuck yeah, that lawyer's so cool.
Yeah, and then you don't realize, 80-hour work weeks minimum.
And then, he's spending all this time, looking over case law. And you hate that. And he's transcribing an old, court record for hours.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting in his computer doing this dumb work.
Yeah, it could be whatever. I guess you just have to, that's what you were saying. You got to look into what would I be doing.
So I want to look into that world a little bit more. And that's why I love, I have like a multi-tier system. Like if I don't want to do if I don't want to do law, I just do psychology. I'm happy. I got a pretty broad range of things I like.
Yeah.
So I can be happy.
You're not specialized yet.
No. It's like I can be happy doing a lot of different things. And if something new and cool comes along, I'm not so arrogant that I'll be like, I'm not going to accept something better because my plans are this right now. But yeah, I want to get out of here. I want to go pursue psychology. I don't know where. I know there's a couple good colleges, but I've only really heard of good ones out of state, like North Dakota University has a really good psychology department. As for other goals, of course, I want to work on fitness better. I want to learn about nutrition and stop eating garbage. You've seen my car.
Yeah. Oh, the passenger seat.
Oh, the passenger seats.
If I perch on this tower, I might be able to squeeze into the car without hitting my head. No, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
I just cleaned out my car yesterday, so I was like, how long has this been here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I have like fitness goals. I want to be dangly. You heard that? I want to be dangly, be able to do it.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Pull-ups. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be a dangly fella.
Monkey bars.
Monkey bar, dangly fella. Tree
Like-
climbing. I've always loved rock climbing, but I've never been good at it because, been a little bit on the heavier side.
Yeah.
But, I really enjoy the motions of it, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Which I have noticed over the past summer, you have definitely slimmed down.
Yeah.
And so that's impressive to me that your commitment, to running and then sometimes working out with me afterward. You could see the effects, and you've been talking about how you've been trying to eat better, and there's definitely a difference. And I enjoy seeing people win when they're going after stuff. I like helping people who help themselves. So it's been really cool to see that progress.
It's really frustrating when you try to help people and they just don't help them. You're just like, I told you, you know what you need to do. You know, I told you. And I even give you options so you don't have to do it my way.
I've learned to be very stingy with offering my time and service to people who are not going to help themselves or who don't want help. In many cases, it still should be done, and it's good to do. But for broadly speaking, if people are not going to help themselves, then I might just try to plant some seeds. I try to say some things, but I'm not going to put forth a lot of my time to someone who's not going to be efficient with it.
Yeah, if you put your hand out and somebody just slaps it away, you're just like,
I just won't put my hand out,
Fair enough.
Maybe I'll toss something to you.
Exactly,
But-
I'll give you some that might help you, but even then, you have to accept it.
Yeah, if they're not ready to hear something good, then they won't
and
hear
like
it.
very much like 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been.
And I try not to give too much advice anymore, because advice, you may be giving bad advice and not know it.
Yeah.
So I try to be helpful with the things I know I'm helpful at.
Exactly.
Like with working out, I could do that. Like with the running group, I started that because I know a lot of individuals were talking about running, and I'm like, okay, show up, and a lot of people did. And so rather than say, oh, this is how you should get into running, I'll offer my service there, and the people who wanted to run are now running.
Yeah, it's a lead by example sort of thing. Yeah. It's really appreciated because lead by example is generally like the best way to do it. It's like if you see, that's what I want to emulate. You see someone doing it right, and then they invite you into the world, and then you can join them or you can, not.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're still doing their thing and leading.
Yeah.
And
they may be down a different path too. You don't, your way is not always the way.
Exactly.
And so I don't get upset if somebody's not taking help or anything, because maybe they don't need that help.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll figure it out for themselves in the way they need to, and they'll be down their course of life. Yeah. So I'm not really upset about that anymore, and I try not to give advice unless it's asked for. Yeah. And I always stipulate that I don't know shit.
Yeah.
So
you're 23, I'm 21. It's like, no need to take it personally.
Yeah.
21-year-olds, 40-year-olds are like, fuck, I was such an idiot kid when I was 21.
As a kid, I knew that I was going to say that. My parents said that's what was going to happen. And every year I would be like, damn, I was such an idiot last year. Yeah. But knowingly, I'd be like, okay, I'm an idiot right now. I just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And so you try to go through life without being an idiot, but it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah. It's like, I'm an idiot right now. I just think I'm being really clever.
Yeah. So when I really realized that, that's when I was like, okay, I'm not necessarily going to be like, this is how you do it, man. Because I did that a couple of times, and I was just like, looking back, I'm like, why would it? That was completely wrong. Like
that was a stupid idea.
Maybe that person ended up figuring it out. Still, maybe there was something in there, the attitude of it they pulled out, and that was helpful to them. but the specific advice wasn't necessarily the best at all. So, yeah. Pretty classic question. Just to kind of put a time frame on things, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What would you like to be doing? Where would you like to be at? And broadly speaking, you don't have to be very specific.
Okay, 5 years from now?
Yeah, that would be 2028. I'll be 28.
2028. I'll be 26, 27.
I'll be like 31.
Wait, how old are you, Usa?
Usa.
I'm turning 26 this year.
What?
He's 2 years older than me.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he's slightly older than my older brother.
Yeah, like slightly.
very slightly.
Yeah, he's December, you're October, but I mean, he doesn't look too old, does he?
Yeah, my oldest brother just yesterday turned 27.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, Usa out here blending in. He could exist in multiple crowds, I will say.
Yeah, my girlfriend told me if she didn't know how old I was, it could have went either way.
Yeah,
I could have been really young or just really old.
Or really old, yeah.
yeah. It's a compliment. It's
Yeah, you could have been one of those guys hanging out at the same.
he'll be like 63 and he'll be chilling with all the 24-year-olds and they're like
I don't know about that.
on accident. His occupation
accident,
will
yeah.
like he'll be surrounded by them and they'll be like, yeah, so you said you had a house. How were you able to buy it at such a young age?
They'll be like, what is he doing right?
Yeah, what is he doing? He's just so intelligent and has so much wisdom.
I just don't get it.
Like
man.
you're like a 63-year-old in a 24-year-old's body.
Yeah, it's just
And then at 64, you're gonna age and you'll look 90.
all at
Definitely.
All at
You're gonna
once.
have like the big beard. It's
Yeah.
gonna be-
Like the wrinkly avocado skin.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
I'll be worse by then. Don't worry.
Anyway.
Sorry. Continue. 5 years.
All right, in 5 years, I'm going to be 27-year-olds. I'm going to have 10 kids and covered in tattoos. No.
10 kids. I mean, the only possible way would be, multiple women there. So that goes even darker. And
10
even weirder.
kids, 9 baby mamas. One of them I'm going to go for 2,
Full body tattoos.
Full
There's
body.
going to be thousands of dollars.
I only have $10 to my
Pursue-
name after child support.
Pursue my dream of being a Yakuza member in Japan.
Yeah, Drew really took a turn. He was on a path, but he's definitely on a different one now.
Just like there's a multiverse, just like, boy, that one arced out.
Everyone else is just like a very prominent lawyer in the area.
Yeah, it's just like,
This guy just went way.
that guy went way up
We
there.
don't even know what happened. We had the same experiences, and then just somewhere along the line, he just shot
you
over.
know that Rick and Morty episode with Roy?
Oh, yeah.
Just like, boy, whoa, he's going Yakuza.
Yeah. Yeah. Goddamn.
Um,
Okay, sorry. The actual question.
All right, I'll take it seriously. In 5 years, I hope to have achieved my academic goals, or at least be near it, achievement, because I'm behind. So it's like
It is what it
I'm
is.
not rushing it. It's like
I'm gonna graduate after you. Think about that.
you're going to graduate after.
Probably.
If
If I go for a master's, I think.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Or if I fail any more classes.
If I pursue psychology, I'm gonna have to pursue a master's probably too.
Oh.
So it's
So maybe not. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
be in the same graduation year.
that'd be crazy.
That'd be weird.
Hopefully by then I've worked out a romantic situation, as I am predominant. What?
Oh?
Wait, what?
What?
Oh, with
happening?
like.
A romantic, like not a specific romantic.
I was like, what are you saying, Drew?
Okay.
Hopefully me and you are together, Brandon.
Take that out of context. Clip it.
Cut that. Oh,
Yeah, no, no.
shit. Yeah.
I didn't know you felt that way, Drew. You could have told me all this time.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh, God.
So you looking for romance? Or?
I was just 5 years of growing the balls to admit finally
I was
My
just
deep
surprised.
founded feeling.
I was surprised where it turned to, and I was like, wait, what?
I was like, am I hearing this wrong? Like, I might have just heard it weird.
Well, it wasn't just you. It wasn't just you.
Headphone users. Man.
Okay, a romantic.
A romantic.
Yeah, what are you looking for in a woman? Maybe.
We already talked about this. What, big titty cough?
Whoa,
Mommy.
chill.
No, I'm kidding.
Damn.
Man, we've already gone
So
wacky.
vulgar. Yeah.
Already gone wacky.
Don't
I'm
lose
gonna-
it too much. Keep your composure. Keep your composure.
Okay.
Employers might see this.
Oh.
Yeah, it won't be worse than what we were talking about in the beginning, but
Yeah, we were just
how we
casual.
almost dipped into. Anyway, yeah, continue.
Wait, what do we almost dip into?
Nothing. Let's just keep
Wait,
going.
Am I missing something?
No,
Am I missing something?
maybe I don't know. Okay,
I
whatever.
don't know what you were
Let's
talking
just-
about. Like we were talking about slavery for a second, but we were talking in like a tactful way.
At all?
Just continue. I
Okay.
forgot already.
Okay. Yeah, so I hope to have a romantic. I don't really want to put a label on what I want that to be. Hopefully, not some whale.
Yeah, I hope it's a human being.
I hope it's a human. Hopefully, by then AI has gone far enough that.
Yep. It's not like yeah.
You can't tell the
Makes sense.
difference anymore.
So, are you looking for kids? I'm guessing. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Okay, so somebody who could be, the mother of your children and a wonderful spouse.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah, exactly. And I don't want to be like, oh, they have to be this. I have this type and it has to be this way. I'm like, I have no expectations.
Yeah.
I feel if you put expectations on it, you might just end up missing out on something great. So,
Mhm.
just I have what I like. I have my
Yeah.
preferences and
Have some values, but be open to what might be.
yeah,
So
aesthetically at least. I don't really have a lot.
yeah,
Um,
like no, she has to be dark hair,
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
blue eyes.
mhm.
No,
She has to be Arabic and blue-eyed.
that's
Rare
actually
common.
fairly common.
Is that common?
Yeah,
I don't know.
or light-eyed. They usually have light eyes. I don't know. Talk to Reem.
Talk to Reem about it.
Yeah, doesn't she have light eyes?
I don't know. She has like hazel eyes,
Yeah. But she was talking about how some of her siblings and such have
Mhm.
lighter eyes too.
We haven't talked to
So-
Reem in a minute.
Yeah. I wonder how she's doing.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Anyway.
5 years. Hopefully by then, I can be. Most psychologists aren't really psychologists by 26. You're still working on it. You're apprenticing under somebody, or you're working on a master's.
I would hope so too, because
Yeah.
you're having a lot of impact on people's life and their mind. I would hate to have some whack job, which
Yeah.
unfortunately there are still a
Yeah.
lot of them out there.
At least if I could go down the research.
Oh yeah, that
I
is
could
true.
go the research route, in which case you would basically just be a full psychologist working in a college somewhere, or you could go the clinical route, in which case you're probably working at a hospital somewhere.
Yeah.
And either one's I'm happy either way. I'm not sure which way I'll go. I at points have leaned research, at points have leaned clinical.
I mean, you'll
I don't-
figure it out when you start dipping your toes in that
Exactly.
stuff.
Once we go, deeper. I want to, dive more into the biology, the neuropsychology, learn more about it. There's a lot to learn in that field. I want to be stable. I want to hopefully have a little place to myself,
Yeah. Something.
I want to have
Not in your
something.
parents' house.
No, I don't
I
want to
feel
live
that.
in my parents' house, please.
Yeah.
I want to have good relationships with my friends. I want to, hopefully, we're all going to branch out in 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. But hopefully it's not like I'll never talk to you and
Yeah, hopefully I still have some contact with you guys. Maybe
Yeah.
it'd be cool to do like one thing once a year.
yeah. I feel like
you
it's strong enough of a connection that could happen. But
And with my family, we have had like weird relationships with each other, with me and my brothers and my parents, and hopefully those have kind of rebonded. And on my,
I've noticed, at least in my family, that's spreading out. I mean, it happened rapidly for us, and it was kind of very weird. But after time has gone on, I mean, you learn a lot of things about each other. Things smooth over. You're not too worried about the small stuff anymore because you're not living on top of each other anymore. So where they put their sock doesn't matter. And so
Exactly.
you see them in a different way, and it's kind of unfortunate at the same time because you're not as close. Well, you become closer in a different way, but your proximity wise and time wise, you just don't see them as often.
Oh, yeah.
Even when you try to. Like my older
yeah.
brother has kids and a full-time job.
You're not going to see
There's not a lot of extra time, and he lives 30 minutes away, so that's not that far. But when kids, full-time job, that 30 minutes, popping in isn't just something you can do all the time. So
I mean, in a lot of ways, it's more like, what am I afraid of becoming in 5 years? I don't want to be like paranoid. I don't want to be that,
what are you afraid of becoming? Paranoid?
I'm paranoid about becoming paranoid.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a micromanager. I don't want to be someone who's anxious about everything, and I don't want to be someone who doesn't take anything seriously. I just want to grow, and mature.
Okay.
I want to go and develop and mature and, be a solid person.
That's a good goal.
Yeah. Just going back, I just want to be the person that when shit hits the fan, I'm there.
Which this kind of moves perfectly into how do you impact other people, or how do you think you influence them?
I don't know how I influenced the group. I know how I've influenced my mom specifically because we just have a great relationship and we talk all the time. Me and my mom have a kind of unique relationship. We can argue and we're still like, good with each other. I can be like, no, that's a bad idea. That's even kind of stupid. We can be a little disrespectful.
Yeah.
I mean, not like an 8-year-old can't be disrespectful to his mom.
So it's not so much what it was when you were a kid where it's like, don't talk back.
Yeah,
now it's more like you see each other more on par.
Yeah, more as a peer on peer thing. I'll throw out my ideas like, hey, this idea is this, you can consider it. I'm probably a little bit more fiery with my mom because we've just been each other so much and we know how much we can push without pushing too far. And get pretty passionate. But what was the question? Oh,
it was how do you impact the people around you?
Okay, yeah. Well,
or how do you think you influence
It's
them?
just to say, I can be like the iron that sharpens iron. Sometimes she comes back to me and be like, you know what? I didn't like that idea at the time, but it was a good idea. You were actually right. And the way people impact me is like, okay, yeah, that was actually right. And, I get a lot out of conflict, which, as long as both parties know that there are boundaries you don't cross and, things that you don't, use, you don't, attack them personally. But at that point, some point you can just go at it, you can argue with each other and just have those ideas fight.
Yeah.
And then let the bad ideas die. That's what I hope to be. I hope my impact is I challenge things. I'm a little bit of contrarian, if you haven't noticed. No, really?
Yeah.
I like to challenge even well-established ideas. And I just, I like to question things. So I like to question things and I like to do it in a way that can be a little show-offy, a little showmanship in the ways I,
a little flair, something spicy.
A little flair, do it in a way that's interesting. And people tend to give you a bit more leeway anyways if you do it that way. So that's basically what I want my impact to be. I'm not sure. You guys tell me. I don't know how you impact you guys.
I don't know. It's a question for you. Why are you asking me questions? No, I was, I mean, things you've just said. I don't know. I don't really bank that in too much, and especially when I'm just doing an interview like this. Like, I don't want to tell you this is how you impact me right now, because right now I'm not thinking about all the ways you impact me. I'm just trying to listen to your answer. So, I mean, I don't know. At some point, I'll just be like, you know what, Drew?
Yeah.
This is how you impact me and the people around you. But
I know how my friends impact me.
I was just curious on your view of what you do.
Yeah, and I mean, that's basically the role I feel. Kind of like the
nothing
court
feels
jester.
too inaccurate. So
kind of like the court gesture. I'll like say things are stupid, and a lot of the times I'm wrong. But I feel like if I'm wrong, I'm going to take it in grace.
That's the hope.
Yeah, that's the hope. If I'm wrong, I'm not taking and being an asshole about how wrong I am. I'm not going to kill a relationship about being, a about something I'm confidently wrong about.
Yeah. So I have just one last question before we pretty much wrap this up. What makes you enjoy life?
People. Being around people who make me smile and being able to make other people smile. The world's a more beautiful place when people are smiling physically, like generally. You know, if I can make random strangers smile, I'm happy. If I can make my closest friends, my parents smile, I'm happy. If I can make people laugh and smile, I'm happy. Also, just, you know, being able to put in effort and actually giving it what you have. Not half-assing things. I think a lot of people, like, there's this quiet quitting, and it's very popular to, like, just kind of sort of give up on your, you know, your job or something. And I kind of rebel against that. I want to be giving it my all the time. And if that's a position that in like a work environment where I can't do that, I'm going to switch my work environment. I'm not going to like give it up or fake it half the time. That's one of the things I just can't get around. You know, I'm pretty all or nothing. I'm either going to give you all my effort and my entirety, or I'm just not going to give you anything. So the ability to give everybody I can, everything I can, that's what I want. Yeah, that's what makes me really happy. And then, you know, some private things, like I love playing the piano. It's not like I'm trying to be a great pianist, but it just, you know, helps me find who I am, and it's a thing I can aesthetically enjoy. I love art. I love the arts. I love literature. I've been reading more self-help stuff, but I want to get back into reading more of the classic literature. I've always actually had a favorite kind. I've liked the old Russian literature, like Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, that kind of stuff. That stuff always, you know, kind of impacted me. I love comedy. I want to watch more comedy. I want to see if I can try comedy. Things like that make me so happy. In some ways, I'm a little afraid because you guys have such, like, an engineer is such a rock solid career, and you're always going to have that. And the things I want.
I'm not an engineer yet, bro.
Well, if you get there,
there is no guarantee that is where I will be. Even a lot of engineers who graduate don't necessarily become engineers. So, I mean, but I get what you're saying there.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, I'm afraid because the things that I'm like proficient at is like literature and, you know, writing and you know,
more soft skills.
Exactly. Those things that don't translate. Like, if you're good at math and you can be an engineer, you're going to have a good living. So I feel like the way I'm going to live life is going to be one that's just a little riskier.
Yeah.
And I'm like coming to terms with that. And it's like, it's okay. You know, it's okay to live a little bit risky, live life on the edge. You're only going to live it once. So why not? Why not live it as fantastically and as good as you can, you know? So things like that just makes me smile, fills me with purpose. You know, if I could, you know, if I can get past the things that make me sedentary, that'll make me a happy person.
Awesome. I like it. Yeah, you got it. Anything else? And if you want to plug your social media, you're not really on there too much.
Oh, no, I don't really have social
I can't
media.
find you anywhere online.
Oh, you got to know.
Well,
His profile picture is a roll of toilet paper.
Yeah, I have an Instagram. It doesn't have my name in it.
Yeah, see, I tried searching up your name, and I was just like, this clearly isn't
I'm definitely
working.
going to link it.
And then I was just like, maybe Brandon just follows him or something.
I did.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I wouldn't.
But
I wouldn't
I'm
have
saying
guessed
roll of toilet paper. It's
It's a roll of toilet paper, and that was when the toilet paper shortage was going into effect. So it's kind of a flex at the time.
yeah.
But yeah.
I'll put you on there. Yeah, that's.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think if there's anything important to mention.
Man, I think you've been pretty thorough.
Pretty thorough.
Thorough. Yeah.
You know, there's definitely probably more things I could talk about, but they're not.
Yeah, I know when Brogan was on here afterward, he was like, "Oh my gosh, there's so much more I could have said," and I'm just like, "Don't worry, it's gonna be like that every single time, even when you talk to just friends. Like, you're like, oh, I could have said that thing instead of this.
Yeah, there's definitely more to say, but I mean, I'm happy with what I said. I'm content.
Yeah, you definitely got some stuff out there. So
I'm glad we got past the first part because I was definitely.
Were you nervous? Yeah, you were nervous walking in here. You were pacing about.
Oh yeah.
I was like, "You okay, man?"
I'm sure I'm going to like listen
like,
back to
"You'll
the
get
first
into it."
part and like I'm going to be like, oh, my breathing was so fucking weird.
Yeah. You said to be or not to be, and I was like, oh man, he's pulling out the soliloquy, doing that Hamlet right there. Is that when he was holding the skull, right?
I think so. I don't know. I never read Hamlet.
Oh.
I only know that soliloquy because that soliloquy, like, you know, in that area, that kind of transition area between before I met the group and, you know, before everything else, when I'm kind of like figuring everything out, that pushed me a lot because like
that soliloquy right there.
Like I
to
mean,
be or not to be.
I mean, to be or not to be, that's the question. And now you can take that into, and then every little line, it's so perfectly written. Whether it's nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. So do you want to accept the luxuries of life or see the troubles ahead and end them and oppose them? And this guy's he's contemplating his own life, to die, to sleep. He doesn't know if he wants to go through this struggle.
He's like, where do I go from here?
Contemplating the end. He says, if I die, if I go to this eternal rest, I will avoid all this heartache and all this pain that's going to go through. And maybe there's some dream, but when there is no dream, you've shuffled it off, and all the pain and the calamity of life, the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, all of this. And then at the end, it goes into how consciousness, how all of this pain makes us cowards. It makes us not pursue the things that we could because we're so afraid. What's the line? My favorite line in here. Thus conscience doth make cowards of us all.
Man, Hamlet goes hard.
It does. It's so.
I read it in high school, but you know that never stood out to me. And like reading it now, I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard those ideas from many people in different ways, and that's really cool.
Every line, I memorized it at one point. Every line is something. Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life? And fardels, I can't remember what that means. I think it means grunt and sweat. But essentially, you know, who would bear to suffer this life of agony and pain? And and how consciousness makes us, can cover us with this light of fear and make us lose all perspective. It's such a good quote.
I'm glad you started with that one.
Yeah. It's a good quote, and if you just like, every line is worth something. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess, with that, we'll just end it here. Thank you, as always.
Thank you, sir. Can't give you the old two-hander.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
It's a handshake. It's a handshake. And I guess with that, we'll just... the left-hander. I guess we'll just
both.
we'll just get going now.
Cut that.
What's that you said? You said like and
Oh yeah. Remember to like and subscribe
and comment.
Hit that notification bell button.
Comment.
Comment.
Definitely comment.
What should they comment about?
Literally whatever. Just make it related to the podcast.
Give them something.
Oh, you mean like a call to action?
Like comment on what your favorite animal is.
Yeah. What did you think about Drew? Judge him. No. No.
Judge him.
What did
you relate to? What did you relate to in all of this? What do you enjoy? What were points made that stood out to you? And something where you go, oh man, I never thought about it that way. Or
and what's your favorite color?
Don't answer that.
Even give us your thoughts about some of the stuff we talked about.
Yeah. I don't know. And I like when people comment. It shows that it's more than just like bots viewing it, you know. Although bots can also comment, but just make it a little.
Yeah.
If you make it more than just like 2 words, then I know you're not a bot, or at least not a dumb one.
Yeah.
AI bots. I don't know.
Only want the smart bots.
Yeah, the smart bots. All right. Okay. With that, I guess we'll actually end it.
Okay.
All right.
Oh yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching In the Works by Brandon Nusa. Subscribe and like for more.